Alright, what's up everybody? I just wanted to record a video that is a response to Derrick, Broze, and Carroll's interview or conversation together. There's something that Derrick touches on once in a while, and it's the piece that I think is missing most in this whole conversation, and it is the piece of identity. Everyone's talking about policy, people are talking about connections, connecting experiences, and people in these different worlds who are coming against us, coming against our freedom, coming against our rights. Here's what I want to say. If you don't have an internal generator that naturally creates a resistance to the attacks on your liberty and the attacks on your identity, you will eventually wear down. It's just a matter of time. And so we can have these conversations and we can have these intellectual debates. We can intellectually pull apart everything that's going on in the world around us and talk about how these people are connected and these events are connected and these things are not accidents. Unfortunately, it's not enough. I've been in this game for a long time. Before Alex Jones had a platform, probably before David Icke ever wrote a book, I was exposed to the world that people are now talking about more regularly. And it's not because I'm special. It's because I grew up in a family that understood these things and were involved since the 1950s or 60s in resisting some of the stuff that's going on. There was a point to me mentioning that. Maybe it'll come back again. But what I want to say is that we have to know who we are in order to create an internal generator that doesn't just defend our borders or intellectually understand that we're under attack, but that we intrinsically find their offers, their temptations, their let's go with offers, to find those things laughable, to say, why would I ever waste my time considering your Faustian bargain? You have nothing for me. You have nothing for me. Everything that you offer is a counterfeit to something that I already possess or know exists in a very real way. And all you're offering me is a color-coded, half-corroded, cellophane-lined, yesterday's grind version of what I want. That's not meat. I know what meat is. I've tasted meat, and what you're offering is not meat. It's a counterfeit, and the cost has a very long and sharp tail to it. I'm not interested in your Faustian bargain. I'm not interested in your technological future. I'm not interested in what you call safety and security and certainty. I'm not interested in your comfort. I'm not interested in your convenience. If we don't have an internal generator that is turned on by our own experiences, then we will get worn down in this process and we will stop eventually resisting, because they will keep picking and picking and picking. And there's only so long that you can put up with that when you don't have something within yourself that finds it laughable. We are responsible for having the courage to have the experiences necessary to find out who we are. That is what creates the men and women that this world needs today. That's what raises up true warriors with a deep sense of conviction. That's what raises up the sages, the kings. It comes from within. It's not enough to have these conversations, and I'm not saying they shouldn't be having these conversations. They should. It's great. I'm glad to hear it. But the power that we need isn't going to quite come through these conversations. It's not just going to come from understanding that there is somebody attacking our borders. It comes from understanding who we are and why we have boundaries. It comes from understanding the natural order of things. It comes from being offended on an identity level by their offer. Now, we don't have to have an emotional response, but it has to be fundamentally, existentially offensive to hear these offers. We have to understand just how dark and devious it is to make these bargains that they keep pushing on us. That can only come from an experience with who we are, and it takes courage to go into those spaces, to integrate those parts of ourselves, to find the shadows, to unconditionally love the parts of ourselves that we have avoided, that we have pushed aside, that we have said, I don't need you. When we were young, and we had experiences and we had feelings that we didn't like, and we said, I'm pushing those things aside. I'm burying those down, realizing we buried a part of ourselves with those things. And every time we cut off a part of ourselves with an experience or an emotion that we judged, that we didn't like, we created a less whole version of ourselves, a less powerful version of ourselves. And we started taking a smaller and smaller corner of our own identity. We started occupying a smaller space in the realm that we were given to occupy. And these people are playing on that. We have to integrate. We have to know who we are. We have to have the courage to open the door to the parts of ourselves that we have rejected and said no to, the parts of ourselves that we have compartmentalized and exiled and abandoned, however you want to look at it. And we have to say, I don't care what I'm going to find behind that door. If it's a part of me, it has a place in my life. You will be shocked at what comes up, even with the least healthy parts of yourself, how much they have to offer you in this world, how much creativity and groundedness and peace comes with the reconciliation of the parts of ourselves that we have abandoned. This is what they are playing on. None of this stuff would be possible. None of these attacks would be possible against us if we were whole people. Jesus said 1 can put 1,000 to flight and 2 can put 10,000 to flight. When's the last time you met somebody who was one whole, one complete being? When you become one, you can put 1,000 to flight. Now I remember why I mentioned how long I've been in this movement and how long I've collected, or I've participated in this mindset and held this understanding. It's because I've seen people wear out. I've seen people come and go. I've seen people who have anger, who have rage, who have intellectual conviction, who have understanding and knowledge and the whole big picture, but they don't know who they are. They remain compartmentalized, and eventually they fail. They either fail energetically, or their blind spots and their shadows take over. The gravitational pull of the things that they have left behind pull them back to demanding that they stop outwardly trying to change the world and come back to inwardly working on their issues. And if they refuse, the gravitational pull still takes them away from the call, still takes them away from that external vision, that external message. And what else? It's a little complicated, but those parts of ourselves that demand to be reconciled with, they will create pitfalls outside of ourselves that affect our ability to move forward without their participation. They refuse to allow us to move forward without their participation, because the most powerful force in the universe is the desire for reconciliation. That's number one. And the parts of ourselves that we think we've locked away and that we're done with and that we're going to avoid exile and that have no participation in our lives, they will not be silent. And if we do not listen to the knock at the door, they will start throwing bricks through our windows. You think you're going to go out there and take on the New World Order? You think you're going to make a difference? So far, I'm hearing a lot of words, and I appreciate those words because as a writer, it is hard to really clearly articulate a position, especially when it comes to understanding and developing what feels like a coherent worldview without any holes, without any inconsistencies, that is whole and complete and relatable and articulatable. That's really hard work, and I appreciate people who do it. I want to stop doing it. I want to let them do it. I want to work on other things. We need that, but that's not all we need. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There needs to be, underneath the surface, an understanding of who we are that creates a conviction and a real, demonstrable power in the things that we do, that we can show people, this is the truth. I am the truth. Look at me. Look at how I integrate the parts of myself. Do you want to do this with me? And through that integration, do you see how I'm able to partner with the spirit world, with the Creator in a way that blows through the lies and the deceptions like a nuclear bomb? There's so much missing in the conversation because the conversation is just a conversation. There is demonstration that needs to start taking place. I'm talking about miraculous demonstration. I'm talking about energetic demonstration. It's coming. It's taking a while to get here. The only way that we're going to be able to participate in that incredibly, crucially important aspect of this battle is if we have the courage to fight the dragons that we have so far been avoiding. The only battles left for most of us are the ones we fear the most. Do not let that stop you. Don't let that stop you from going within. Don't let that stop you from acknowledging that the things outside of yourself that you can't stand are the things that you're probably afraid are true about you. Can you allow the unconditional love that is constantly flowing towards you and available to you? Can you allow that to be the perspective that you take toward the parts of yourself that you like the least and possibly fear are true, even though you're not sure? Can you embrace the coward? Can you embrace the pathetic, whining wimp? Can you embrace the passive aspect, or a part of yourself that may be passive, that may be kicked around by the world, that may be a victim? Can you embrace the part of yourself that you're afraid is aggressive, is rageful, is violent? You hated it in somebody that you once met, and you said, I will never be that thing. But you have to open the door to loving yourself, even if you are that thing. That's the only thing that will bring healing to that, instead of cutting it off and saying, I refuse to ever consider that I am this way. This is a huge part of the path to integrating into becoming a kind of person that can be what we need in the world and what you want to be. This is how we become the person we respect and admire outside of ourselves. This is how we become what the world needs. We become what we need. We understand the internal family. We raise the children. The hearts of the fathers return to the kids and the sons. The hearts of the sons return to the fathers. They face each other and they say, let's work this out. This is the last prophecy of the Old Testament of what is considered the Christian Bible. It's in Malachi. Before the great and terrible day of the Lord comes, I will send to you the prophet Elijah, and he will return the hearts of the sons to the fathers and the hearts of the fathers to the sons, or I will strike the earth with a curse. You don't have to believe in a literal God if you don't want to, and you don't have to believe, if you do believe in a literal God, you don't have to believe that he curses if you don't want to. But what you need to understand is that when the internal sons and fathers are not united, when a house is divided against itself, it will fall. And when you have a culture of houses divided against themselves, they will all fall. And we have fallen many, many times throughout our human history. And it's time to turn that around. Because we have adopted, we have received, I guess you could say we've invited in curse after curse into our lives through our disintegration of ourselves. It's time for the hearts of the sons to return to the fathers and the fathers to the sons. I know you want to fight a battle that's out there. You'll have your chance. First, practice the unconditional love that is within you toward the aspects of yourself that you do not like or are afraid are true. Decide you're going to open a door, and before you open that door into some aspect of who you are, what if behind that door is a version of me that I can't stand? What if behind that door is an aggressive, murderous part of myself that I can't stand? I'm afraid to open that door. Decide ahead of time. Whatever I find, I'm going to love. I'm going to love as if it's a child. As if it's a child that's been locked away in a room. I'm going to spend time with this child. Whatever you are, whoever you are, however you feel, the answer is yes. You have a place here. You have a place here. You are invaluable. As we begin to adopt that unconditional love, that self-love, and we replace it with the only other thing that we use to motivate ourselves, which is self-hatred. We displace the self-hatred that we've adopted over generations. We displace that. We say, I'm not going to use compartmentalization. I'm not going to use shame and guilt to motivate myself to change or to be better. I'm not doing that anymore. First of all, it's not effective. Pragmatically, it doesn't work. And I'm learning that as a person. Part of this is me talking about me. Part of this is in quotes that you might experience yourself. I'm realizing that this is not effective and it's not getting me what I want in life. In fact, it's creating the very opposite of what I desire. Second, it's not the higher path. I'm not doing it. I'm choosing love. As we start doing that, we will start to prepare ourselves to battle the enemies that are outside of ourselves. And some will say you'll come to the conclusion that there are no enemies outside of yourself. I don't think I'm ready for that yet. I don't think it's true. We haven't delved into just how dark things can be. I'm writing a book about it. I finished the first version in 2020. People didn't understand it, so I'm going to write an exposition about it right now. But if you want to find it on Amazon, it's called Forward, A Journey to Wholeness. I think Amazon title says Forward, Outgrowing the Tyrannies of Life. We will prepare. We will be prepared to do the battle. We will become one who can put 1,000 to flight. One truth can displace 1,000 lies just by its very presence. And when you really understand warfare, when you really understand what it means to fight, you will adopt an assertive attitude, not just a defensive posture, but an offensive posture. And when somebody comes to your borders and attacks you, you will no longer find it, you will no longer find it to be successful to simply defend your borders and say, we won the fight, we won the battle, we successfully defended our borders. That will no longer be your definition of success. Your definition of success will change. It will change to, when you come against me, I will come against you 10 times. You will teach your enemies that when you come against me, you will not leave neutral. Because your enemies will continue to come against you if the only consequence of their attacking you is that they leave with nothing. Imagine if every time somebody robbed a bank, the worst thing that could happen to them is that they left with no money. Does that sound like a deterrent? No. No, you want to deter things from coming against you, and people, beings, anything from coming against you. You say, if you come against me, I'm coming against you. You want to come into my space 10 miles? I'm coming into your space 100. I'm taking more from you than you tried to take from me. I'm going to teach you a lesson about coming against me. Don't do it unless you want to lose more than you even tried to gain. You come in my space 10 miles, I will come into yours 100, and I will establish myself in your world, and I will take more than you ever dreamed of taking from me. Do you still want to fuck with me? Is this a fight that you want to pick? You want to come against me with some kind of technocratic tyranny? You want to come against me and take away my medical freedom and my medical rights? I'm not just settling for status quo. I'm taking back more than I had before you came against me. And by the way, thank you for the attack. You're waking me up to the truth of the world that I live in, and that there are people or beings or forces that are coming against me. You are no longer in the shadows. We see you. We understand you have an agenda. We understand you've taken things from our predecessors, from our ancestors. We're not just taking back what you're trying to take from us or what we've lost in our lifetimes. We're taking back everything that every human being has ever lost in the history of humanity, every dimension that we have sacrificed, every part of ourselves that we have exiled. The entirety of the internal and external realms that exist in the world that we were given to occupy, to steward, to nourish, to nurture, to create gardens in, we're taking back all of it. Every single part of it will be ours again. There will be no force fit to stand against us. Thank you for waking me up to that. Thank you. Is there anything else that you want to wake me up to? This is where you will end up when you learn how to fight well, and when you learn how to integrate the parts of yourself that you have considered to be liabilities. They are not liabilities, they are assets. And they are waiting to participate in your life, in my life, in meaningful, creative, powerful ways. They're waiting to show us dimensions that we have exiled ourselves from when we exiled the parts of ourselves within. They mirror each other. The aspects of ourselves mirror external dimensions that we are meant to occupy. This is the process. You have to know who you are. For me, it started with a complete deconstruction of who I am in my 20s. When other people were building lives, I was tearing mine down. From 23 to 30, I deconstructed my life to find out who I was when I didn't have the accessories, when I was no longer carrying the pretense that I had built about who I am. And through that process, I had a very powerful discovery of who I am. I came down from that experience off the mountaintop. And then I started working on the other aspects of myself in the real world, with real people, with real triggers, in normal life, in holding a job, in starting businesses, and getting into relationships. And this is the process. I can't wait to show you. I cannot wait to show you what it looks like when a man integrates the parts of himself that he has dispersed and exiled, embodies that, becomes one, and then operates in the world. I hope I get the chance to show you that for myself. I hope I am someone who can demonstrate that at some point. I have my doubts, but some people will. Some people will. And what you're going to learn in this process is way better and more powerful than anything you can imagine. You're going to learn that for those of you who follow Jesus or see any value in him, you're going to learn that the miracles that he performed, that the acts he performed, that the things he did aren't noteworthy because they're miraculous. They're noteworthy because they're not. They're available to all of us if we are willing to follow him, which is to collect all the aspects of ourselves that we've scattered across the landscape of our psyches, let's just call it. Go and get them all back. Leave the 99, find the one. Bring them home. You will be shocked at what you can do. This is the power they don't want you to know about. They want to keep this conversation on an intellectual level. Intellect is one of our least powerful aspects. One of our least powerful. We do good with it. But they battle us with intellect, and they keep the battle on the intellectual plane because they operate on the intellectual plane. There are planes, there are dimensions that they do not operate on that are deeper, more powerful. They don't want you to take the fight there because they cannot fight you there. Those who come against us have surrendered aspects of themselves to become gods of a lesser world. And one of those lesser worlds is the intellect. And so they want to keep you fighting them on an intellectual level. Because if you start fighting on the deeper dimensional aspect levels that they do not occupy, they cannot win. They can't hold a candle to you. The kings of the third dimension are homeless in the fourth dimension. The weakest of fourth dimensional beings have power over the most powerful of three-dimensional beings. Take the fight where the fight needs to be taken. Become who you need to become in order to do what you want to do in this world.